You're watching a segment of The Splash, Greater West Bloomfield's news magazine show.
Welcome back. We're joined by Dale Young, Administrative Sergeant of the West Bloomfield Police Department. And thank you, Sergeant, for being with us today. And so you are in charge of what?
So currently I'm assigned to the administration team, and I currently supervise the civilian employees inside the department, which is our records department, our building maintenance crew, the mechanics, and our police service aides. Okay,
so the career of a police officer has kind of evolved over the years, hasn't it?
It has, yes. It has become more complex than it was even when I first started.
And when did you start?
I started as a police cadet in 2004, and then was promoted to police officer in 2006. I was promoted to sergeant in 2015.
And you've been with West Bloomfield the entire time?
I have, yes.
Okay. So tell me how it's evolved through the years.
Sure. Well, technology is changing at a pace that's just blinding. Cell phones were certainly around, but not to the level of the smartphones that we have today. Certainly as a police officer, people are out in the community more and doing more caretaking, especially as things have adapted with mental health and also with more critical incidents, the unfortunate mass shootings that have happened around the country. Those are examples of things that we are trying to stay ahead of and we are constantly training for. And as we do those types of things, we notice that it is certainly an event that is going to take quite a few partners around the community as well as within law enforcement to be able to handle.
So let's go back to the cell phones for just a second.
Sure.
So the smartphone, has that helped or hindered law enforcement?
That's actually been more of a double-edged sword of sorts. And the reason being is because on the one hand, you have the ability to have basically a personalized computer in the palm of your hand, but it has also, unfortunately, aided the criminal element as well because of the fact that the cell phone has been able to aid in things like fraud, as well as other types of crimes. Plus, the security on those phones has been at times very difficult for law enforcement to be able to crack and get the evidence needed for successful prosecution in cases.
Right, and that's been a big deal.
Yes.
Throughout the years, right?
Yes.
So as far as the career of a police officer and the way it's changed, I know that, when a person is interested in a career in law enforcement,
yes.
Everyone looks at everything, right? Benefits, environment.
Yes.
How has that changed over the years?
Well, certainly in the realm of benefits and retirements, we've seen in law enforcement the migration from a traditional retirement and pension benefits to more of a 401k style retirement. And how that affects law enforcement is that it is, in my opinion, that as time goes on, what we're going to see is that officers will enter law enforcement and they will vest in the 401k style of benefits, and then from there they'll be able to transport that to any other agency that they may want to work at. And they're going to start to look at things like what kind of opportunities do various departments offer, how much time will it take for me to be able to do those types of positions and take advantage of those opportunities. And then we're going to see probably a lot more of lateral transfers from other agencies as well.
So to where you may have an officer who's been with the department for 30 years, that's probably going to be changing.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Just when I first entered law enforcement, I knew that I was going to be with West Bloomfield for 30 years. I planned to have my entire career here. Whereas I believe that other officers that are entering the workforce, they're more of the mindset that because of the transportability of their benefits, that they don't have to think that far ahead. that they can take a look at their career and kind of just be in the moment, enjoy it, but then know that they have other options potentially at other places.
Right.
So.
And maybe even think, well, it's not too exciting here, and don't get that wrong.
Sure.
But, how many bad guys?
Right.
Right? I mean,
Sure.
I don't know if that's a myth or if people who are policemen love chasing bad guys.
Sure,
or
yeah.
if they like being at the desk, or, I don't know the
Yes.
balance of that.
Yes.
But, I mean, there might be a time where they want to go chase the bad guys
Yes.
and then go back to being kind of in a chill environment, right?
Yes, I would agree with that, yes. And so what's nice, though, and something that you just brought up and touched on here, is the fact that now when they're evaluating various departments, they don't have to be so worried that they're going to be not making the right decision. And so they do have an opportunity to kind of plan their career out, and if they would like to be more involved in critical incidents on a more frequent basis, that might be something that might attract them to go to another area. Or sometimes maybe they want to focus in on frauds, as an example here, and maybe that another community may have a problem with that, so then they're going to be thinking more about these long-term, more complex investigations.
So let's talk about the millennials.
Sure.
Because they're a big part of the workforce.
Yes.
And will continue to be.
Absolutely.
But how has that changed policing?
So first, I want to say that, millennials are here. I feel like they are the future of our workforce and law enforcement, and they do bring a lot to the table. An example of that could be that they put a greater emphasis on a work-life balance, whereas maybe generations before in law enforcement might have been more married to the job, and sometimes that can create unintended negative consequences for families and possible marriages, things of that nature. The millennials, on the other hand, want to have more of a separation between law enforcement work and their life.
Big self-care.
Yes, exactly, yes, self-care, absolutely.
Self-care, and that's important.
Yes.
So with that balance and them bringing the balance to the career of a law enforcement, that really changes the whole mindset.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I feel like they're the generation that grew up being told that if you need help, especially if you need emotional support or if you need counseling, that was okay. So, and how that helps law enforcement is that law enforcement for many years was more of, you need to try to handle things on your own, or maybe that was the perception that was out there. And now with the millennials, they're more of, no, if there's an issue, I would like to try to take care of that early before it manifests into something worse.
And that is important.
Yes, definitely.
So let's talk about West Bloomfield.
Sure.
You looking for police officers, or what are you looking for?
So currently we're actually hiring police service aides.
Okay.
And we actually are in the midst of a hiring cycle. But if they go to the West Bloomfield Township Human Resources Department, they can find more information regarding that position.
Okay, so that closes June 30th.
Yes.
And something I did not know, and perhaps I should have known, but the police academy
Yes.
is something that people have to go through on their own.
Yes.
And pay for on their own.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so if they're applying for a job with the West Bloomfield Police, that is something they should have already finished.
Especially for a police officer.
Okay.
Yes. But the nice thing about the police service aide position is that if a police service aide is with us for at least a year,
mm-hmm.
and they would have the opportunity to compete for a police officer position just like the general public would do. If they were able to compete and finish at a high level on that eligibility list, there is a possibility that when they do get hired that the police department would put them through the police academy.
Okay.
And that's a great benefit because, one, you're having that paid for, but also you are starting to collect wages for working with the West Bloomfield Police Department.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank
Yeah.
you. So, okay, one more thing. You want people to reach out to you guys. If they
Yes.
have an issue,
Yes.
they can follow you
Yes.
on Instagram. Tell me all the ways people can reach out to you.
Absolutely, yes. We definitely want to stay connected to the public, our community members, and how we do that is we have platforms such as Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Nixle. We also have a community policing officer, Tim Shepard. And we welcome feedback. And that feedback, it's great to hear praise, but it's also great to hear how we can improve, and also if there's any concerns in the community.
Okay, thank you so much. Again, we have been joined by Dale Young, Administrative Sergeant of the West Bloomfield Police Department.
Thanks for watching a segment of The Splash. To catch the entire show or other segments, watch us on Comcast Channel 15 or AT&T Channel 99. Or look us up online at thesplash.tv and listen to us on WBLD 89.3, the all-new Lakes FM.